Hi everyone, and welcome to my least favourite, or at least part least favourite, part most disappointing reads of 2019. The other day I uploaded my favourite reads of last year, so it's only fitting that I now go into the other end of the scale, which isn't something I always do, but I thought that I'd had quite a few bad reads last year, and I looked into it and I was like, oh, I only gave out like 3 1 stars. I gave out like 1 2 stars, and everything else was like 3 stars or above. So the 1 and 2 stars are just genuinely my least favourite reads of last year. But then mixed in here, I've also got some 3 stars that were just genuinely disappointing, and I thought were going to be like 4 or 5 star reads. I have managed to put these in some sort of order too. So in 10th place, we have got Hide and Shriek, which is the first book in the Fear Street series by R.L. Stine. This might seem like quite a weird inclusion, but I reread this in October to kind of get me in a Halloweeny mood, which it did, to be fair. This is one of the 3 star reads. It did, but it was so different to how I remembered it being as a child. This was pretty poor, and I'm genuinely still quite mad that I even bothered trying to reread this, because I've now ruined it for myself forever. This follows a family that have moved to a place called Fear Street, and there is this game that gets played every year of hide and seek in the woods. And at first all seems innocent, but then you actually find out that maybe it's not an innocent game and that it could lead to becoming a weird kind of ghost possessed person for the next school year if you lose and this guy called Pete finds you. In 9th place, we've got another disappointing read, and again it's something that the last book kind of shares, in that I just probably shouldn't have reread this book. And this is The Girl Who Cried Monster by R.L. Stine. This was one of the first Goosebumps books I ever bought. It was like maybe the 2nd or 3rd that I ever read, and back then I loved it. And I thought this was going to be maybe like, I thought this was going to be a 4 star read, I think. 3 stars at best. The characters in this book just drove me absolutely insane. The immaturity of it just drove me absolutely insane. This girl thinks that she sees monsters everywhere. She then goes to a library. She starts thinking that her librarian is a monster. She tells the family just think that she's a liar constantly, and who can blame her, because she's the girl who cried monster, much like the boy who cried wolf. And it's just really irritating. That was a disappointing read for me. Another disappointing read is this book that's coming at 8th place, and this is Circe by Madeline Miller. Now, while this isn't something I'd normally pick up, I feel like it's something that I would enjoy. I expected to enjoy it, but I just really struggled to care, to be honest. I found it quite easy to get into, but it just wasn't for me. This is a kind of mythological retelling. I can't even remember it very well anymore, to be honest, but it just really disappointed me. I just thought it was poor, and I probably wouldn't care that much and would just kind of just write it off as an average read. If it wasn't the fact that everyone else seems to give this book 5 stars. I'm flummoxed. Honestly, flummoxed, but I'm glad that other people enjoy it and that I'm the freak. Next is one that I probably should have expected, because it does tend to get quite a few lower ratings. That said, I usually like this sort of book, so I was a bit like, This is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom. Maybe it was just too overhyped in my head, but I ended up giving this 3 stars, so it's another just disappointing read. And I don't know, I was only expecting to probably give it 4 stars, but I just thought it was very incredibly average. And I was hoping for better than average, because it's a very popular book on BookTube with many people. Obviously there's quite a few people that don't like it, but it's a very Marmitey book, and I was just in the average kind of bracket, and I was like, it's just left me like, meh. I am still going to continue on with the series though, because I am intrigued enough. Next, we have a non-fiction. I was actually expecting to enjoy this book a lot, and was really surprised when I found it really dry and quite a drag, especially since I was listening to the audiobook, and that is The Secret Barrister by The Secret Barrister. So this is an anonymous barrister who is sort of telling their story on what it's been like to be a barrister, cover all sorts of trials. It's meant to have funny bits. I didn't really find it particularly funny. A lot of people love this book. It's got an average rating of 4 stars on Goodreads, and I just thought it was just okay. So I was really disappointed in that, because I was expecting some wonderful non-fiction, because I love the bits of non-fiction that I love, I really love. So yeah, just disappointed. And indeed, another disappointing read. This is The Power by Naomi Alderman. Now, I don't know whether this was just that I listened to the audiobook and maybe I'd have been better reading the physical copy. I'm not sure, but this just left me really underwhelmed. I've been wanting to read this book for so long. I mean, while it had been getting loads of decent reviews, I mean, don't get me wrong, its average rating is lower than some of the others, but it's generally a well thought of book, and I just, again, thought it was average at best. I don't know whether it's because I'd sort of gone into this because lots of people compare it to like a more modern Handmaid's Tale, but I just, no. So now we're just on to the books that were just genuinely, in my eyes, poor and that I didn't enjoy. So we have got Lucifer Volume 1, Cold Heaven. This is a comic series, and I thought I'd enjoy this because I really enjoyed the TV show of Lucifer, and I really just enjoy picking up comics here and there and graphic novels, and I was expecting to, since it's one I'm familiar with, enjoy, and I just thought it was really poor. On top of that, it was written by Holly Black, and Holly Black is an author I'm familiar with, so again, this sort of hyped it up a bit more in my head, and I just ended up thinking it was pretty naff. For full disclosure, these last 3 books, I gave all of these 1 star, but I also didn't finish any of them. They were that bad in my eyes, and I say in my eyes because there's some popular ones here. They were that bad in my eyes that I just couldn't force myself through them anymore. So I think DNF'd them anywhere between sort of 12% and halfway. And so that might seem as unfair, but I just wanted to include them anyway. It's my video, my opinions. I'll do this how I wish. So the first one here I've got is Enchantée by Gita Trelease. This was being hyped as a really exciting historical fantasy, and I thought, wow, that combines 2 things I really like, historical fiction with some fantasy. This is going to be great. And a lot of people were giving it wonderful reviews. And then I read it and I was like, I'm so bored. This is boring. What is even going on? I'm so bored. So this is set in Paris in 1789. And yeah, I was expecting to really love this. And I just couldn't see the appeal at all, and realised I was forcing myself to read it. And you shouldn't do that. If you're not enjoying a book, put it down. You're not doing anyone any favours, especially yourself, because you'll just put yourself in a reading slump. So that's what I did. The next one, I feel like, was just marketed badly, and if I'd been in a different frame of mind when I was picking it up, maybe I'd have ended up finishing it and feeling totally different. But this is The End of the Line by Gray Williams. This was marketed as a thriller with a bit of fantasy and paranormal aspects, but it was a fast-paced thriller. Those are the exact words being used. Set on the streets of London, rife with undercover magic. So please tell me why it was boring as hell and I was on some train in the middle of nowhere for like the first 10-12%. There was the briefest mention of London from what I remember, but mainly I was just on this train and I just didn't get it. I didn't feel like I'd been sold the same book. Not that I'd purchased it, I've got a free copy from the publishers via NetGalley. That is not the point. I really dislike it when books are told to be one kind of genre type thing and then they turn out to be something else. Don't missell me. Tell me what something is really about rather than what you think will sell it, because that just felt like the biggest waste of my time ever. It was never, well, it might have ended up being a book I enjoyed, but I was really in the mood for a fast-paced thriller. So that's why I picked it up, and that's not what I was getting at all. I was on some boring train with some magic. It just went on, and I was like, I give up. This final one, I feel like it's unfair that I've put it in the top spot, but at the same time, it was a massive disappointment and one of my least favourite books of the year. So this deserves, in that sense, to be at the #1 spot. And this is The Wayward Girls by Amanda Mason. So this is a thriller that follows 2 timelines. I got quite a way into this one because I kept thinking it will get better, it will get better. I wanted to give this book every chance because it seemed like something I should, on paper, love. There's some horror aspects in it. There's kind of a ghostly theme to it. And I found that by the halfway point, there was only one character I really cared about, and I wasn't seeing enough of them because of the timeline and perspective jumps. And that some of it, I just was like, I don't even get what's going on anymore. It was just, to me, poorly written and such a good idea, just poorly executed. And I just got to the point where I'd had enough and I was like, I'm so disappointed, I give in. And so yeah, that's why this one sadly gets the top spot. It's got an average rating on Goodreads of 3.85, so obviously not everyone has hated it, and I hope that other people end up loving it and that it was just me maybe having a bad reading time and wasn't focused enough for it. I don't know. Those are my 10 most disappointing or least favourite reads of last year. Here is to this year coming up being also one where I struggled to compile a list because actually really it wasn't that bad a reading year. It was quite difficult to work out this list, and overall, if there's 2 rereads on there, i.e. these 2, it can't have been that bad a year. Let me know if you've also read any of these and also what your least favourite reads of last year were, or what books disappointed you most last year. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me, and I will see you soon. Bye bye!